This might be one of the biggest like announcements in gaming ever, and it's a horrible one. So as you can see here, I'm sure everyone has heard by now. I meant to get to it this morning. I got a little busy. So important updates, physical discs for new games and the PlayStation Store for the PS3 and Vita. I'll go ahead and get the so there it's like what news do you want? Do you want the bad news or the worst news? The bad news is that the PS3 and PS Vita storefronts are closing in some countries as early as next month. In like I'm not all right. So digital storefronts will be closing for the PS3 and Vita in a couple different countries. For all right, so yeah, right here. So August next year or next month. Next month. And then some of them will be closing late 2026, and then we have a year for the rest of the world. So I this is what I'll say about this. This sucks, but I understand it. But that does not mean I agree. All right, let's not get it twisted. I'm not saying I agree with this statement of closing the PS3 digital storefronts and the Vita. I'm not saying I agree with it, obviously. But they did try to do this a year, 2 or 3 ago, and then people pushed back on it, so they extended. But this was like this one was expected. This one was expected. Sucks that it's here, but it was expected. This one, on the other hand, physical disc production ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation. This is an insane ratio, by the way. So, first of all, this is just a lie. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, consumers do not prefer digital. Everyone, everyone nowadays talks about how they don't like how like everything's becoming more digital. So this is just not true. New games will be released on the PS Store and at retailers in digital formats only. You're going to go to GameStop or Walmart. You're going to spend $70, $80. You're going to open a box and you're going to have a string of letters and numbers to enter into the PlayStation Store. That is insane. That is ridiculous. So yeah, this is just not true. The entertainment industry shifts away from physical disc to digital. Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available at PlayStation Store retailers in digital formats only. This is a natural direction for Sony to adapt to consumer trends. Again, not true, as a general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical disc. Again, not true. I don't know where they're getting this data. If they're basing this off of like sales from physical versus downloads, I don't, that's not really like a, because they only get the one sale. You like the whole thing of like, oh, I bought this game, I beat it, it's cool, I don't really have a use for it anymore, I'm going to sell it now. You can't do that anymore, right? Like I just made a video about my whole PS2 collection. Like three of the games I've had since I was little, but the rest of them I've rebought. Who knows how many people have bought them and sold them again until I got them, right? So like you could say, oh, this game only has 10,000 physical sales, but it actually has like 50,000, like just as a number because of secondhand markets. So I'm assuming that's where they got their data from, but that's so stupid. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and plays games. Again, not true. I will say being able to download a game is convenient, but I do not prefer it. 100%. I do not prefer it at all. Convenient, yes. And like if you could purchase it physically and then download it, like, but you still have it. I mean, that's pretty much what it is nowadays. Like, what's the most recent new game I bought was 007. It came with a disc. Put the disc into PS5. It's like a 120 gigabyte download. I'm like, what's the point of the disc? Like, now I'm not saying it should be digital only. Like, I'm not saying that, obviously. I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be, oh, you put in a disc, but then you have to download the whole game anyways. So, this is how the community prefers to access games. I think they're just pulling it out of their ass. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games. Well, they can kiss my ass, is what they can do. I've been a diehard PlayStation fan for a very long time, but yeah, if this is the PS6 date, if it comes out no disc drive, I'm not getting it. I'm not like the PS5, I bought the disc drive version. So you're telling me that it's just a paperweight now? Like people used to make jokes about the Xbox Series X being a mini fridge or the Xbox One being a footstool. But so now we got a paperweight. We got, dude, we're about to have every fucking like office supply you can have for the consoles now because they're getting rid of the disc. It's so stupid. So, one, this kills their value completely. So for one, the entire like second-hand market for gaming is completely gone. You can't resell digital games, right? You can say like, "Oh, look at all of these games I have on this hard drive. You can buy this hard drive," but like that's not trustworthy. That's weird. And then with how they are with licensing, you still might not be able to play it. So that's the first major thing is like buying games for like a better price or a couple years after they come out or trying to collect, that would be gone, right? So as I'm sure most of us have seen, this just was a couple days ago. PlayStation removed 500 purchased movies from customer accounts because, all right, bro, come on. I don't know how that happened. Because of a licensing deal ending. So as of September 1st, that's in 2 months, due to our content licensing arrangements, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased content from that studio, whatever. You can purchase it and they can just take it away. This has been a big fear of everyone for a while, but they literally did it. Who's to say they won't do this with games now? Especially if it's something like a failed game or a game that they don't want people to play anymore. They just take it away. If it's digital only, they could just let me get that and just completely remove. Like imagine if Concord was a digital only game, okay? So obviously they cut off the servers in a week. You can't play it anymore. I know that. But I'm saying imagine it was a digital only game. No one would be able to access anything with it anymore because they would have just removed it. 100%. That's how it could be. Now, of course, there's no way to like know for sure if they would do this, but who's to say in 20, 25, 30 years they won't just say, hey, you bought this game on the PlayStation Store. We don't want you to have it anymore. We're going to take it. Because you're not purchasing the game, you're purchasing the license for it, which they can take away at any time. 53 million views, 45,000 likes, and 44,000 replies, and 47,000 quotes. Insane, bro. They're getting cooked for it. As they should, by the way, as they should. This is a horrible change and I know Nintendo's already started doing it. I didn't agree with that either. But I think it's a little different because if you buy a game card that downloads it from the web store or from the like Nintendo eShop, you still have to have the card to put it in your console. I think I don't know if you can resell it or whatever. I'm not sure, but they just don't. I don't know. They just hate every like multi-billion-dollar entertainment company just fucking hates their customers, and it's just very obvious each and every day that they just have no idea what people actually want. And the problem though is that they low key have a monopoly on it. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo are like the three big and Steam, but Steam doesn't release physical games. So I'm just talking about Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. They've got the monopoly over it. Google tried that Google Stadia thing a couple years ago that completely flopped, and any other company that tries to get into the gaming market either partners with Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo. There's no fourth company. Sega, no, like that's the only other one I can think of. There's PlayStation, Xbox, the Switch, and then like the Sega Genesis. Well, the Genesis died in like 2001. That's the last time Sega came out with a console and like Atari and stuff. And who knows? I don't know who owns what, so they could be owned by like other ones by now. I don't know. But pretty much this is just like the worst case scenario. This is like low key apocalyptic as far as like video games go. Obviously, it's not the actual end of the world, but it feels like it for a hobby like video games because now because you're even going to be feel more inclined, you're going to be like, oh, well, this is stupid, I definitely don't want to purchase a PS6 and a physical game. But then like GTA 6, they're doing it with the biggest damn game probably ever. They're saying, oh yeah, we're not releasing a physical copy, and it has me being like, okay, well, I want to buy it? Do I want to spend $80 for a piece of plastic with a poster inside of it to open it up and get a string of numbers and characters put into the PlayStation Store? Because that's another thing. They're not going to reduce the prices either. Now, I would still not like this change. But if they said we are removing physical disc, but we are reducing the price, it would just be less of a hit. Like I said, I still wouldn't agree with it. I would still think it's stupid. I still would rather them do it like not, I'd rather them continue to print physical games. But if they said because of no longer having to do physical, like putting on a disc, blah blah, we won't like that whole processing fee for physical media won't be included in the price. I'd be like, okay, you know what? At least there's a silver lining. But there's no silver lining to this. Nothing. And most games take up a couple hundred gigabytes now. So let's say you have a 500 gig or even a 1 terabyte PS5, you can download like 5 games, and then that's it. So let's say you want to plat a game, but it takes you a long time, so you don't want to delete it. Your favorite game comes out, like their most hyped ones, like GTA 6 or whatever. So that's probably like 2, 3, 400 gigabytes right there, and you can have a couple extra games, and then you have like room for like 1 game that you can delete and download a new one. And that's it. Now, of course, you can buy like SSDs and external hard drives, but that's a few $100. And not everybody can just say, well, you know what? I'm just going to put a few hundred more dollars into this. That's not how that works. Not everybody can just say, I'm going to spend 3 grand on an 8 terabyte SSD. Insane thing, by the way. But yeah, I'm hoping that this does get reverted after they see the enormous backlash. I'm just not hopeful for it, but I really, really want it to because I would hate to be like, imagine I have my kids and I'm like, let's go play this game I played in my 20s. And then, oh, well, you can't do that because it was removed off the PlayStation Store. Even though you bought it, you can't play it now. And it wasn't released physically. And so now in comes the conversation of like pirating and stuff and emulating. Obviously with this, it's gives you more, it makes people feel more inclined to pirate, sure, but you still don't physically own it. You own the file or you own it, you know what I mean? Like you can have the file downloaded and all this stuff on your computer, but you don't have a physical disk unless you burn it onto a disk. And like it gets to a point where like yes, you can have it physically, but you have to get all the ISO file for this digital only game. You need to get a DVD writer, or they don't use DVDs anymore. But like you know what I mean. There's a process to burning something onto a disc to own it. Like that, we shouldn't have to go through all that to have physical collections of media. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is my take on probably the worst gaming decision and announcement, and probably the biggest gaming announcement I've ever seen. This is so stupid. And like GTA 6 not having a physical thing, I also think that's completely stupid. But the game is so sought after, like it's so hyped up that people are going to be like, okay, well, I'll give this one a pass. But if any other game does it, I'm not going to do it until it's another game they're excited for. And they're like, well, you know what? I'll let this one slide. And then it just, so they're soft launching this with GTA 6. And then starting January 2028, there's gonna be no more physical disc apparently, unless a new company can push its way into the market. As far as I know, Xbox is the only one that's still sticking with physical, because Nintendo has physical releases, but then they have the game cards, and now Sony's announcing this. I haven't bought Xbox games in like probably 12 years, but as far as I know, they're the only company that still releases discs, but who knows how long that'll last. So thank y'all for watching this very very upsetting game announcement. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it can get reverted or something good can come from it. Hopefully. Catch y'all next time.